Soulfire and the Black Lung Crew is your backing band, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you describe what you do as dance hall reggae. Is that how you would describe what you do?
Yeah, well, nowadays there's a couple more slashes on the end of that, but dancehall, reggae, hip hop, soca, compa.
Uh, for your average person, like the way you summed it up on your website was no Bob Marley here, and that's interesting. What do you say when people say, oh, they see you setting up? What kind of music is this? If they obviously don't know.
Man, we tell people it's reggae music. And then when they, want to know something more specifically, we try to figure out what exactly they know about reggae. You know what I mean? Because if you haven't listened to reggae since the 70s, a lot's changed. Just like any other form of music, I guess. You know what I mean? Like if you listen to rock and roll back in 1977, and now you listen to a rock and roll band, it's not going to sound the same.
How would you say reggae has changed?
Oh, reggae has changed the same way that, most music has changed. It's become more electronic. Gone are the days where there's going to be 17 musicians sitting in a studio when one guy can just do everything from a control panel. Especially talking about poor people, less people to pay means more money in everyone's pocket.
And you spoke of mixing hip hop and these other soca and all other beats and styles of music. Where do you pull from? What are your influences that create what you do?
My influences are, like I said, like Fugees, Wyclef of the Fugees, and all the Haitian music that he kind of brought into the mix with compa and stuff like that. And compa acts like System Band and Top Vice and T Vice and stuff like that. And then reggae wise, Buju Banton, Cuddy Ranks, Shaba Ranks, stuff that's the old stuff. Pretty much anything that came up when I was coming up, late 80s, early 90s, that's pretty much where my heart still is.
You're a lyricist, vocalist and a lyricist.
Mm-hmm.
And you did mention you played congas and bass and keyboards but so when you set out to write a song, what inspires you to write a song?
That's kind of a tricky question. I guess 90% of the time it'd be something bad. Where I'm one of those people, I'm not the Facebook era type kind of cat that puts all my feelings out real publicly. I'm kind of a private person, so when I write songs, it's kind of my way of pointing stuff out without having to put names into the situation and drag people's feelings through the mud, you know what I mean? And that's probably 90% of the reason why I write a song.
You mentioned your first record that you said yourself you didn't feel was worked very well because you were being a little preachy.
It was worship music, and I actually played like some gospel brunches and stuff like that, and it was great for that type of venue. But like it or not, 90% of the time you're playing to people that are trying to party, and everybody likes to have a good time and cut loose sometimes. And the last thing that you want is somebody trying to point fingers and preach at you while you're trying to tie one on. You know what I mean? I feel like if you listen to reggae music and you completely miss the spiritual side of things, you're not paying very good attention. And I don't care if you're not familiar with patois. I don't care if you're not familiar with reggae. If you completely miss the spiritual side of the music, then maybe you should try a different style of music. Reggae is spiritual music. It always will be.
And when you say spiritual, what are you trying to, say, evoke from your audience?
I mean, that's kind of a trick question as well, because recorded wise, you're trying to provoke thought. Live wise, we just want to provoke movement. You know what I mean? And that's why a live recording is going to be a lot different than a studio recording for me, because like I said, I realize that my main goal here is to try to show people a good time. I'm an entertainer, and if I'm not entertaining, then what am I? An entertainer that's not entertaining isn't going to get much work.
You're part of the B-Room Entertainment.
Yeah, Boardroom Entertainment, Boardroom ENT. From the inception, Soulfire has been down with Boardroom from the jump street. Those guys, man, they've done so much for me as far as keeping my music here in Texas and keeping me here in Texas, and really showing me kind of the swing of how to build crowds down here, because those guys have been doing it since before I was around. So, you know, Shark Attack and, you know, the guys from the Weed Room, you know, you really can't, I can't say enough about how much those guys have come through for me, personally.
And you guys, you also have a sponsor in San Antonio.
Yeah, that's right, man. Rerooted Apparel Company. Those guys have been great. That's like, you know, you talk about companies that promote like a conscious vibe. That's their mission statement. You know what I mean? They're like definitely a reggae style clothing line, and those guys have gone to bat for me time and time and time again. And actually, but the reason why I've been able to do the shows that I've been doing out of town, and still come back and, you know, have a roof over my head. So, yeah, big ups to Rerooted Apparel, no doubt, for sure.
Nice. What is your impression of the age of the iPod and iTunes and all of that versus the era that you grew up in, and what you've referenced sort of with regard to music?
Just can't really depend on record sales and stuff like that anymore. I mean, you know, I've worked with a lot of artists that are, you know, just even 8 years older than me, you know, but I'm kind of right in that little gap where I remember before there was the internet, for sure, but at the same time, you know, I did probably 2 reel-to-reel recordings in my whole lifetime. You know, I remember worrying about wasting tape.
Right.
But, you know, I think the digital age is great as long as you aren't worried that you only have X amount of material. Because as long as you can keep putting out something new, you're always relevant. And there's always a huge platform to be able to make somebody like me a well-known guy. You know, if you're good enough, you can actually do it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of something that I think is insane. I mean, you know, starting off, I could never think that there would be people in Africa with a Soulfire CD. There is. I sent them to them. They got them. You know what I mean? Because of MySpace. You know, obviously prior to Facebook and all that, you know, MySpace. You know, we're sending copies to Lake Haiti, you know, to Georgetown, French Guiana, you know what I mean? Like, far away destinations that, you know, probably I'm not going to be able to go tour anytime real soon, but, you know, they got the music, they listen to it. Are they huge fans? Nah, you know, might be 2 or 3 people, but I don't know, it makes it all worth doing to me. I mean, especially now when you're talking about music that, I mean, you know, I put a video on YouTube, you know, if the right guy sees it, that's all it takes. And that guy doesn't have to work for a record company anymore. You know, he can work for a clothing company. He can work for, you know, a sunglass company. He can work for an energy drink company. He can, you know, represent whatever he wants to represent. And, you know, as long as he has a little bit of ingenuity, you can kind of make some stuff happen. I mean, you know, we've been on compilation albums for all sorts of stuff, you know, t-shirt companies, clothing companies, board shorts, and, you know, just all sorts of wild stuff, rolling papers. I mean, whatever. You know, if you want to put a CD out, cool. If you're going to sell them, keep the money. I don't care. Just get my music out there. It's a blessing. You know, I'm not losing anything. The old school musicians are the guys that are like, no, every track I need money from. You know what I mean? And I feel like, hey, man, it's good. You know what I mean? The more people that hear about it, the better. It's the same like merchandise. You know what I mean? If I give you a T-shirt and you wear it around, then you're advertising for me, right? You know what I mean? If I give you a CD and you're going to jam it and burn it for 10 of your buddies, awesome. Good, do it. Make me some fans.
So, if there's a thing that you hope that people would come away with after seeing Soulfire and Black Lung Crew, what would that be?
I guess, man, it'd be that there is such thing as American reggae music. You know what I mean? And that there are people that are doing it in a genuine way, and that it's not just the same thing that's been going on, and it's not a bunch of guys in dashikis, and it's not a bunch of guys, you know, with dreadlocks singing Bob Marley tunes. You know what I mean? Like, it's there's people trying to say some stuff, and if you take a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, you can make it out because it's in English.
Nice. That's great. Well, I appreciate it, Drew Long, Soulfire. So we're going to see you at a show tonight.
Cabo.
All right. Cool.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks.
Yes, we are so fire in the Black Lung crew, man. We're gonna be here till like 2 o'clock, 1:30. So stick around, man. Buy your drinks.